Welcome back to Pritch on the Pitch. I'm your boy Pritch, and today we'll be going through the Man United vs Brighton game. For me, this is where the season really starts. I've been waiting for this game for a number of months because it was a new start under Ten Hag and the team is rotten after the end of last season. And who else better to start against than the team that beat us 4-0 at the end of last season? So today it's time to put a marker down, both for Ten Hag to come in and show that he's in control and the man capable of doing better than last season, but also the Man United players to step up to say they're better than last season. I don't think Man United have ever lost to Brighton at home, so hopefully all the signs are good and Man United would go on to beat Brighton to show that we can challenge this season. Brighton have lost two of arguably their best players from last season, Basuma and Cucurella. Man United have not strengthened as much as their fans would have liked, but two of them are in the starting lineup, Eriksen and Martinez. With Martial's injury, it means that Man United name a squad without a striker as Ronaldo starts on the bench. We'll see whether Rashford is starting up top or whether Eriksen, Rashford, Sancho or Bruno will be more of a false nine and they'll all swap around. That might be a handful for the Brighton defence if they keep their movement going all game. Or, of course, with no focal point like we've seen in other games this weekend, it might be an absolute train crash. But at least the Glazers are in attendance to see it firsthand either way. The first minute sadly leans towards the latter, because within this first minute, Dalot is caught by Trossard and gets the first shot of the game away into the side netting. Looks like Brighton know they can pressure our back four. Hopefully Martinez can change this, but this is why Manchester United were looking for De Jong, as McTominay and Fred don't do enough to create options for the back four. 8 minutes in, Sancho gets the ball and plays it down the channel into the box for McTominay of all people to run onto. He squares it across to Fernandes, but Fernandes blazes it over the bar. I can't believe it. They had a chance to put a real marker down in the first 10 minutes and get that 1-0 straight away. Fernandes looks physically absolutely pissed off with himself for skying it. To not even get it on target is terrible. The lack of quality is clear to see with that, and this is why he'll face strong competition from Eriksen this season. Another new signing, however, who does show his class is Martinez, who casually muscles a Brighton player off the ball and casually lays it off to Maguire, which makes a change from the panic that we saw from our centre-backs last season. The lack of quality shows again when Fred, who does actually show for the ball from the back four, messes up and gives a ball away that he just received from De Gea when he was put under pressure. As I said earlier, this really needs to be worked upon. The game in general is played with a slow tempo in these early stages, with both teams trying to fill each other out. Martinez makes his first mistake of the game with a mistimed sliding tackle to try and intercept the ball that goes down the channel. Probably the first rule of defending is to stay on your feet. However, he then duplicates the YouTube clip of him where he casually turns an attacker who's trying to shut him down. So a glimpse into both sides of Martinez. Unfortunately, one player who isn't as comfortable when put under pressure is De Gea. When his passing channels are shut down, instead of floating the long ball up to maybe Sancho or Rashford on the other side, he miskicks it and puts it out for a throwing. Unfortunately, this is a sign of Manchester United in this game that they're not able to control it in this early parts of the game. They're unable to cope with Brighton's high pressing line and trying to exploit the gaps left by these pressers. Instead, they panic and no one has the courage to want to come and get the ball. But as predicted, Eriksen and Fernandes are switching positions, but unfortunately it's not as fluid as I would like it to be. Rashford on the left doesn't look like the pre-season Rashford either, and this is highlighted when he receives the ball, squares up his man and tries to beat him but gets a big access denied. Martinez manages to make a block and releases Manchester United on their counter-attack, but Eriksen takes a tame shot, which is a shame. McTominay is getting frustrated and goes in on a slightly high tackle that looks bad and catches Casado higher. This might be a red, but he just gets a yellow today. Brighton use that fuel on their next attack as Trossard plays a straight ball down the channel onto Welbeck's diagonal run between Martinez and Maguire. Martinez tries to follow Welbeck, but Welbeck leaves him in his shadow. Brighton have a man either side of Luke Shaw in the middle of the pitch. The ball comes across the 6-yard box and is tapped in by Groves. Where to start with all the mistakes? It's like watching the team from last year. What have they been working on in pre-season? The camera switches to Ronaldo after this goal goes in and he has his arms in the air. The commentator thinks this is a dismissive sign when you put your hands up. However, to me it looks like he's actually trying to make the motion of when you're trying to get your team to put their heads up after they've conceded a goal. After the goal, Brighton do drop back a little bit, and this is the first time that Man United have control of the game. But instead of passing it side to side, Fred gets bored and blazes it over. I'd go ballistic at him. This is where I don't know whether, when we were talking about the Manchester United captain in my previous video, who is the captain? Who is the one who is holding these players to their high standards on the pitch? I didn't see anyone, certainly not Maguire. But with a couple of short passes, Brighton carve through the Man United midfield and defence again as there is so much space and get another shot on target. De Gea saves, but United are flat-footed on the rebound. And it's that player again, Gross, that isn't and taps it in for their second goal. Brighton 2-0 up. Luckily the half-time whistle blows and hopefully Ten Hag can take stock in the locker room and get Manchester United actually playing like they should at home on the first game of the season. This first half looked exactly like the last game of last season, not the first one of this one. Manchester United are just too slow to go from the back to the front like they've always been, and that back four can be pressed. They are looking to beat United 4-0 again, as Brighton certainly are on this last man and they know it. They can smell the blood in the water. They're just waiting for that Manchester United slip up. United, being at home, have only had 5 shots and 2 of which on target against Brighton, who have had 12 shots but only 3 on target. Although Manchester United have had a 62% possession, but proves that possession is pointless if you can't convert it into goals or opportunities. Although it was an abysmal start for Manchester United, there are no changes for either team, which is surprising. Although I will take this point to apologise that in the second half the emotions did get the better of me and I stopped taking notes. But the first attacking part of the second half was a Eriksen cross to the back post that Rashford isn't fast enough or didn't read early enough to get onto the end of. During the next wave of attack, the ball bounces high onto a Brighton's defender arm which is in the air. However, it did ride up a Manchester United player's leg into his arm, so it isn't given as a handball. However, in the past we might have seen that given. Brighton also have their own shout for a penalty as Welbeck gets in behind Martinez. But instead of just holding Welbeck up, Martinez shoulder barges him in the back and he goes down. But nothing is given, surprisingly enough. To me, that was a clear penalty. I don't think the seriousness of this game is appreciated by the players, as McTominay in possession, instead of again playing a simple pass, tries a flick and it fails. Now is not the time for this, Scott. It's the 53rd minute and Ronaldo finally comes on for Fred. I guess this means that Eriksen or Bruno will actually come back slightly deeper to try and make that man who is press resistant, who can take the ball off the back four and De Gea and then transition into attack. The status quo of the game continues, however, but when Ronaldo is slipped through down the right-hand channel, he squares it to Rashford, who takes the shot, but Sanchez, the Brighton goalkeeper, hangs an arm out, which successfully saves it. What a great save, although there is shouts that Ronaldo might have been offside in that attack had it gone in. However, Rashford should have put it in the back of the net regardless. Man United are playing so poorly in this game, and Brighton are knocking around it for fun. So much so that the away fans start cheering every pass. This is at Old Trafford. This carries on until their keeper feels too much pressure and kicks it out of play. Eriksen receives the ball on the edge of the box and gets bored of the lack of movement and takes a shot. It's a good shot and the goalkeeper spills it. Ronaldo is on the follow-up, but Veltman is quicker than him and manages to put it out for a corner. The corner comes in and the goalkeeper flaps for it. It bounces off a couple of people, but more importantly off of Dalot, and it goes towards goal. The Brighton players in a panic make an absolute hash of it, and somehow it sneaks in. That brings the result to 2-1. Will United come back into this? Will it be an Old Trafford classic where we go 2-0 down and then win 3-2? I certainly hope so. The goal does fill United with confidence, and with Ronaldo being on the focal points for Fred and Eriksen dropping back, they are more comfortable in possession, and tempo has got a tiny bit faster, although they couldn't have got any more slower. The next part of action of note is when Martinez is beaten in the air from a goal kick. However, he turns quicker and is on it quicker than the striker. I guess this is a clip to bring up when they say that Martinez is shit in the air, but how he can recover from it if needs be. One Man United player who isn't doing very well in this game is Shaw. A highlight of this game is when we're enjoying a bit of possession, Shaw gets the ball, Van der Beek moves and Van der Beek shows for it down the line. Shaw could easily play it in, but instead of going for the risky pass, he decides to square it across the midfield again. For some reason, we just don't want to break these lines of play. If I was Van der Beek, I would have taken him off after that. I meant Ten Hag, not Van der Beek taking him off. That would be stupid. But that is the thing with Van der Beek. He makes all of this movement. He makes excellent movement off the ball, but the problem is you need players that can make the passes to him. Yes, he hasn't stepped up and taken his chance when he needs to, but he can only be as good as the players around him as well. I'm really hoping that maybe in the future, when he teams up with Eriksen and Fernandes this season with Ten Hag's coaching, then we might see the best from Van der Beek, as he is an excellent number 10 historically. It even gets more frustrating when, as I said, we're losing 2-1 and we're happy to pass it around in our own half. Absolutely shocking. Do the players on the pitch know what this means to us? Where's the intelligence and the quality to make much more of this than what the players on the pitch are doing it? Ten Hag himself makes a bit of a mockery of the situation when in the 89th minute he makes a double substitution, bringing on Malacia and Garnacho, I think for both of their Premier League debuts. Why are we making substitutes when we're 2-1 down? This is what you do when you're losing the game and you want to waste a minute or two, not when you're trying to chase a goal back. Give the players a debut to remember, not just coming on for 1 minute. But luckily, not long after that, the final whistle goes to put me out of my misery. In conclusion, I'm really disappointed with watching this game. In my Man United review, I saw us actually making a challenge for the top 4 this season. However, watching this game was so much like watching us last season. It's a bit like the pre-season was like the half an hour under Rangnick at Crystal Palace in his first game, where it actually looked like we were a changed team. But then we went on in that season to do absolutely nothing. And that's a little bit of what's happened here. In pre-season, we showed how good these players can be. They're playing with freedom, they're passing and moving. Martial, Sancho, Rashford are all connecting. However, in this game, we're just so slow. There's no courage. There's no even attempts of playing through balls. Although I did read an interesting article in the Athletics showing how rare through balls are. The player to have completed the most through balls and attempted the most is Messi. What does that show us? Does that tell us that the best player in the world looks for those through balls, and is that one of the reasons why he is one of the best? Because he makes plays like that. Those are the type of balls that get you most assists. I think the Brighton goal today will go down as a through ball. My philosophy in football is easy when it comes to attacking. Play straight balls with diagonal runs. It's proven today that it can equal goals. The goal itself didn't come from that run directly, but it was the assist. Manchester United, we seem to be stuck in this. Although it's not a rubbish sort of football, the way that we play it is. So I'll call it rubbish possession football. We always look for the safe pass. I know Fernandes is famously accused of giving the ball away, but at least he's the one who looks for these passes. The rest of them just seem to pass it around them. When Shaw didn't play it to Van der Beek down the line, I almost pulled my hair out. It was such a simple attacking ball that Shaw decided not to. But Shaw didn't do anything this game. Nor did Dalot really. Okay, he was in the mixer for the goal, but as I said, he didn't know much of it. It just bounced off of him towards goal. Both our wing-backs need to do much more in attack. We had, in the first half, 63% possession, but no goals. When we've got that possession, it needs to go to our wing-backs who can whip it in if our central midfielders can't do anything with it. I don't think Dalot got an assist last season. In summer, I would have certainly looked to replace our wing backs, and they did with one with Shaw for Malacia, but he didn't play, which is surprising. I really thought Ten Hag would really set his stall out in this game, bring all the new players on. Okay, Eriksen and Martinez started, but Malacia didn't. I don't know why he kept faithing Shaw, but he should have just changed as much as possible, because we don't want to replicate what happened last season. The lack of a focal point was not good. Unfortunately, as I said in my build-up to this game, that it would either work or it wouldn't, which is obviously a very easy thing to say, but it definitely didn't, unfortunately. Although, as I said, it is also from a sheer lack of quality of why we didn't do anything in this game. Fernandes could have put us 1-0 up in the first 8 minutes. And it wasn't even a hard opportunity, he just needed to direct it goalwards. That could have given us confidence and opened up our play more, but we didn't score it, and Brighton got on the front foot and got their 2 goals, which put us 2-0 behind. As I say, I think this is the first time that Brighton have beaten us at Old Trafford, and it starts their season off well with a clear 3 points. Potter is a good tactician, and he's had those players for a number of years to work with, so they know what's expected of them. I hope that Manchester United can build to that one day, and I hope we stay with Ten Hag. Although today the performance was just as damning on him as it is the players, because I don't feel that he did enough. But next up, we've got Brentford, an away trip to Brentford, and then the Liverpool game. What did we learn from this game? Well, our players need to kick up the backside for one. Ten Hag really needs to get them into the training pitch like they did during pre-season and try to get that enthusiasm back into them, because they played like they were stuck in mud. Sancho was non-existent. I think, as I mentioned before, Sancho is potential number 7. However, today I can't even remember any times where he tried to take his player one-on-one. I don't know. Rashford looks like a shell of himself, so we've learnt that Manchester United do need a number 9, whether that's Martial or Ronaldo, for these players maybe to interact with, and actually maybe they're more of a pass and move sort of wingers instead of an actual I'll create my own chances. We've also learnt that our midfield is still the same as last season. McTominay and Fred, I stick up for them because, as I said, we defend as a team, and there is plenty of space which you can put on other players, but they need the anti-press strategy is important in this style of football, and they didn't do that. I hope we get De Jong. However, it's looking like we're not. But if it comes to the Brentford game, I'd certainly drop one of them for Eriksen, drop him deep again, as our style of play did seem to get better when he was back in that position. Drop Shaw for Malacia on the left, and hopefully Ronaldo will come in from the start. Hopefully that will then produce some good results, but we'll see in the Brentford game. But anyway, I've ranted enough for this. This conclusion went on for 6 minutes, probably more than the rest of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Catch me next time. The next game is the Man City game, so no doubt they'll win. But anyway, I've been Pritch, you've been fabulous. Put a like on it if you like it. Cheers.